got kind of carried away there. Forgot to start my recording, but here's a little bit of where we are, at least on that one. We're drawing up this alleyway. We've established a vantage point. We've drawn the bottom line of our building over here. We've drawn the side of the building, which is this over here. Now this is probably pretty small. Mine is a little bit larger than maybe it should be on that one. This starts maybe down here because it's relatively small. And so I'm just gonna use that as initial guide, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it up more like this. I think that's probably more what I'm looking for. And so this is the roof line of this very large building. All this was extra, sorry gang. I drew way more than I probably wanted to on that one. And so this is a big building. It goes from way down here way to way over here on that sort of a thing. Okay, so here's kind of the deal. If the alley does end at the same point in space for this building as in this building, that means that where this corner is where this corner is going to be over here. Now I need to decide how wide I want my alley to be eventually on that. And so I'm lining up my paper horizontal. I'm just going to draw, this is going to maybe be a sidewalk or something down here eventually, and let's make it about that wide. Okay, and so that's what we're putting in here. This is just the bottom end of the alley when it goes into the street or another building, whatever it runs into at the end. This is where it's running into, that sort of a thing. This one right here, I made that one like, it looks like about 1.5 inches or so. Yeah, it's about 1.5 inches. It's not very tall at all. At the end down here, right? And so if we're looking at this one down here, this building is actually, you get kind of confused with all these fire escapes and stuff that are coming down. The building itself looks like, if I followed this line right here on these buildings like this, and cooked it up here, like this is kind of the top near the building, right? And so we're seeing that it intersects about down into here somewhere, and so it's, you know, it's relatively short on that downside. Now remember, these don't need to look identical. That's okay. And so then this one here, now I need to decide whether I want my buildings on this side to be the same height as the other side. So if I did this, you know, I could just put out a square there. If I wanted it a little taller, you know, that's the thing about the buildings, they don't have to be the same height on that one. You know, I can make it a little taller or something like that. And then this is going to be the top of that building. And then I got to put the bottom of the building over here, right? And they're going to be kind of going in different directions because, okay, so that's our basic setup, right? As we're looking at this sort of a thing, we have the road right here. We have a building on the right. We have a building on the left. On those, they don't necessarily have to be the same size. This is kind of the end portion over here, your alley, and this is kind of the focal point too. So you do want to have something going on back there, however you want that to proceed. Now from here, what we can do once we have our basic setup is we can start adding some details. But this is kind of all of your alleys are going to kind of do this sort of a thing. They're going to set up in this sort of a fashion. They're going to have a building on one side and a building on the other side, their road, and then and some things happening on the surface. Okay, so that was the setup part number one. I wanted to make sure that we got that going. Oh, down here like this, or this one, both of them. There's my alley. Now as I'm looking at some of these different structures, some of the buildings, as I'm looking at these, you know, they're almost separated, you know, as they come out on those. This is interesting here. Some of these buildings are extremely tall for what we're looking for, and they're really close to the vanishing point. So like the building height is like up in here, and it goes almost straight up on that one. When I'm looking at this building on this side like this, it's like I haven't got the top yet on that. It's like right in here is the top of the building. Just this little part right here. all this stuff is still kind of the side, because it's a really large building on those. Okay. All right, want to make sure we're all on the same page. So indentations, okay? We did a little bit with some indentations on the small hall, right? When we did our small hall drawing. But this one there's like this place right here where the driveway comes into the building, maybe some parking into that area here. And so that's an indentation. And your indentations might be small or they might be large on that one. And so I'm just going to draw the indentation part of it first here. So a backside over here, and I'm just going to look at it and see about how big it is. That distance, this distance. And so let's pretend that it's about here. So I'm going to draw a vertical. It goes up a little bit like that. Okay, and then let's say that it's about that wide, and it goes up a little bit like this. So I got my two verticals there, and then the top of it is using our vanishing point like this. Okay, so that's the front. Let's say you had a garage door or something like that, that's the garage door on that one. Once we open the garage door and we can go inside, then we can start drawing some of the other aspects of that one. But there's the garage door, the door part of it. Now for seeing the part that gets recessed inside, we just are going to use two horizontal lines. You'll probably remember this from the small hall drawing on that one. So this just goes in here like that. This piece goes in here, and they're horizontal. Now the thing that you'll notice is the reason why I can see the floor here is because of where the vanishing point is. My eye level is right here, and so as I look, I can see down here, and I can also see up over in this direction here. And so that's a little bit of an indentation. And this one goes all the way in, right? It goes all the way in. Let's do another thing on those. What about back down over here? We had a series of maybe small indentations. Let's say there's a doorway right here of some sort. And so I got to make these vertical. And then the height of them, I'm going to make that just a little taller. So that I can actually see into it a little bit. All right, there we go. And then the top of it is here, right? And so that's the door part right there. We want it indented a little bit, so I'm going to make a little indentation here, just like I did on the other one. Got to get my horizontals. Always check through your rulers to make sure your horizontals are actually horizontal. That's kind of a deal. And so line this one up here, and I'm just making a little indentation here. And so now I've created that little dent in there, but it only goes back this far. And then it does this off of those vanishing points. Now, I know, I guess, Mr. White, you're drawing so small, I can't even see what's going on. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on a second. And so that one was here. This is the other version here. Okay, I got that. We got this piece going here. We got this piece coming up here. We have this going like this. We have our garage door piece like that. This piece is going here. This one was going back just a little bit. Then I drew in a line here like this on that one so I could see the recess part. But then it didn't go back all the way in there. And so I used the vanishing point here to draw this part of it. And I used the vanishing point here to draw this part of it. So it only went back into space that far. Does that make sense? So that's what I drew in small version right here. And so I see the little bit of the floor, I see a little bit of the ceiling right over there. I didn't make a straight line initially, shame on me. Like that. So if we had different values, maybe it's helpful to see that if we had different values, if this was a darker value over here, right? And then let's say that this was kind of a medium value. Like that. And then if we want to put a little doorknob on here, how about we do that? Let's just put a little doorknob right here. And so now it's like, oh look, it's an indentation with a door in it on that. And so that's sometimes a little bit easier to read. And so what I did on that one, I just put a doorknob over here. You put your values in like this, a dark value, and there'll be time for putting values. This one was a medium value, just to make it a little bit more visible, right? Is what we're trying to do. Okay. Let's go ahead and abandon column. Okay, I'm going to put in another one back over here because I had some couple of them together. I want to make them all kind of the same height. If we had like multiple ones, right? I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one here, and then I'm going to put, make sure that it's all horizontal and vertical. Breaking my pencil as I go along. Check through your plastic rulers like that. And then I'm going to put, let's put this one here. I'm going to put this wall in here. This little indentation piece here. This little indentation piece here. These go back in horizontals. So make sure you're horizontal there from the corner. Oops, down a little bit, Rich. There. There. Like that. Finish them. Now these are going to get really close, right? Then we're going to do vanishing points on them. And they're back, way back in the back part of this building. But I wanted to show you the tiny, tiny detail things as we get going there like that. I need to be a little lower. And then we can come back in here, and this will make it easier to see. Like I said before, we put in our dark values, and then we put in our medium values here. And the reason I want to do this one is you can make some really small detail things happening and make it work, right? On those. And then let's put in our doorknobs. So that's kind of cool, huh? Having our small hall with these little, our alleyways going here with these little doors and entryways in them, on being able to do something like that. Let's do, let me think, what would be cool? I should probably have at least something, acknowledgement that we have something over here. I'm going to put in something that's not necessarily the that we see down in here, but I'm going to put it in here anyway. Okay, so I'm going to put in a dumpster, because it's a dumpster seems like it needs to go in an alley. And so the side of my dumpster, let's say it's this big here. So this is the bottom. This is going to be this back side. No, it's not butted right up against the thing here. This is going to be the front side. Now, the reason I want to do this one is this will also kind of show us that sometimes you have angles. Don't dumpsters always have an angle on them so you can put the stuff in them? And so this is not a square, right? It's not a square on that one. Like that. Now the front of the dumpster, let's use our vanishing points. Goes back into space just a little bit. This corner comes back into space just a little bit. And then the top, I made it tall enough to where I can actually see that going back into space a little bit. Then I just make this side right here, this back part, parallel with the piece, the lines in front. So this is a vertical line, so if I make, these are all parallel, like that. This line right here is the one I need to make parallel, so this is the one that's an angle. So if I slide it back here and make it the same direction, that's going to make the top of my dumpster proper, like that. And then I can erase this interior stuff here, like that. If I wanted to put little wheels on them, you kind of see the bottoms of the wheels, right? And you might see a little bit of one over here. Like that. And then on the sides of these things here, don't they have where they get lifted up? There's little pieces that actually stick out. Let's do it this way. And so I'm going to make this a little extra large so you can see it. And they're on both sides. So this is the vanishing point, like that. And then the bottom, I'm drawing the little slots that the forks go into on those. And I'm making them a little big so that we can see them, like that. Okay, and then we see the tops because of my eye level. Here's the top one there. This one, it goes back into space here, up a little. And then there's three lines, three horizontal lines. Go back. This one is going to be how long it is. And then this one goes back all the way actually over to there. So what do we got here? Like, what are you drawing, Mr. White? That's a good question. What am I drawing on those? So these are the little tubes that kind of stick out that the forks run into and pick up the dumpster. The quick version on this one, you gotta love it when Mr. White does quick versions. Okay, so we have this shape here, right? Like this. And then as we drew it back to the vanishing point, it went back into space. My vanishing point's now over here, by the way. Like this, right? And then we actually saw the top of it, and this piece was going here. For these pieces, there's drawing from your vanishing point out here, you have this tube, and then from here, this is kind of a worm's eye view on that. We have this tube sticking out like that, right? And that's where the forks go in. Then on this side, you had a similar sort of a doodad. This is showing the bottom, but in our view, we were able to see the top because I'm way down here, you know, with my perspective. And so that's the quick version of what I've drawn. And I think the being able to let's bring that back up here. Being able to understand your vanishing points, so I'm here and I'm thinking I'm going to draw a dumpster, and I understand about vanishing points and that sort of thing. So it enables me to draw a realistic dumpster, even without, you know, mapping it out with a ruler. Okay, that's the hope of being able to do these things on that. So I got myself a dumpster. That's pretty cool. We should put something right here, huh? What would be good right here? Maybe. Can I do that? I guess I can. I'm just kind of seeing what other sort of structures we have. Maybe this iron grate thing that we have going on right here. That'd be kind of cool, I guess. Okay, so it's up here somewhere. Let me move this paper out of the way. And let's start it about right here. And say that this is one side. And so this is kind of a vent. top side. Trying to decide about how long I want it to be. That looks pretty good right there, huh? So this is the surface. This goes right on the surface of our building. Something like that. And it's going to be indented a little bit, and so I do need a little bit of a horizontal right here, right? So we're looking inside, and we can see inside of it a little. So I can see inside that part, and I can see that part, let's say. And then these little pieces here, there's a little piece in the middle here. It has some thickness to it. So this little piece is on the front. Guess that's kind of cool. So it's kind of like two little windows, right? And let's just put these little pieces. I'm going to put them back a little bit so that they're not up front. I could have made them so that they're all up front, but I want to make them so they're kind of like these little bars that are back a little bit. And I'm going to drop them down. So I'm using the vanishing point. I was kind of just eyeballing it there for a second. I said, hold on, Mr. White, why don't you use a vanishing point? Okay, I will. All right, I will. So this just puts it back a little bit and gives us some ideas on what's going on. I'm guessing about the distance between them. And I am always checking back here to make sure I'm making this along the lines of our vanishing points. Something like that. That's kind of cool, huh? These windows, kind of windows with bars on them or something like that. And then your values can help bring those out a little bit more. But that's kind of a cool deal. I'm going to make my, I think that these buildings are kind of broken up a little bit. So like there's a part that maybe ends here, like that, right? And then on the other side of this doorway extension, it's closed off there. So they're kind of like different sections, right? As we work forward. Maybe we have another section here on this one. Can't see what I'm drawing here. Where's my line? Let's break up that space. And remember, this is just practice, okay? I expect you might make some mistakes, that sort of thing. You might see some erasing, this kind of smudges and different things like that. But I wanted you to have an example so you can kind of draw along with me on making and adding some things to surfaces as we move along on creating our cool alleyway. I guess kind of the last thing I wanted to do, at least in part of this one, a lot of these buildings have a brick structure, and so I wanted to do kind of a brick structure on that one. Let's go ahead and do the one. We're going to do the one on the right over here first. Okay, and so I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to make this one big bricky building. Okay, and so the bricks kind of go in. Start out by drawing vanishing lines. These are going to be big bricks too, so. And I'm going to draw this all along the surface. Okay, got to get behind this a little bit. So the vanishing lines are the ones going back into space. And you notice that as I rotate down, all of these, the line rotates with me, right? Because it all does come from the vanishing point. And like I said, these are big bricks, so we can kind of see them and understand them a little bit. But what makes your drawings interesting, utilizing this technique, I mean, it's really cool to utilize the technique, but you do need to have some detail with those. And so this is a ways of adding detail. I mean, we've added more things to it to make the walls interesting. And I can have these walls with lots of windows, lots of doors. I could have air conditioning units kind of striking out on that one. And this one kind of starts to go behind my dumpster. And even if I just did this, if I didn't put any of the vertical marks in for the bricks, right? I'm looking at this and said, wow, that starts to make it look like there's something going on there besides just the flat wall, right? It has something going on with it. Okay. And then last one here, like that. Okay, so now I have those vanishing lines in there like that. I can just use my bricky technique on that one where you skip every other and then you move over. Let's look at that for a minute before I jump into the bricks on that surface with those. I dropped my eraser someplace else. Yeah, I know, we saw that part, and then this part goes right here like this. Just dividing my dumpster into two sides. Also filled in this little part right here. Okay, so now for the bricks themselves on this one, you just use the same technique we used in when we made those tiles in our small hall drawing. I'm gonna start here. And then I'm just going to go every other one. Like I said, this is always the hard part, remember what we're doing. Draw one, skip one. Draw one, skip one. Let's see if I eventually get down here to the bottom. Now I got to go here. So I drew there, and so not there. Draw, not draw, draw, not draw. And so this one's behind the thing there. So there's my first one. Yay! Now I got to put one next to it, about the same distance, maybe a little bit farther. Okay. Now I just draw in the other ones, and so I drew on this one here, and so now I'm going to draw on this one. I'm going to skip. hard part is remembering where you're drawing. And then this part right here, just that little... Oh, I see what you're doing, Mr. Y. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that exact thing right there. Now I'm going to move it back a little. And these are eventually going to get a little closer together as they go back into space on those. And so now I'm back to the original one, this one here. And so I'm going to draw here. Draw one, skip one, draw, skip, draw, skip, draw, skip, draw, skip, draw, skip. Okay. Slide it over a little bit. Like I said, now these lines are going to get closer together the further back in space that we go. If I quit breaking my pencil, it would probably go a little faster, eh? I know. Okay. And then right here, we'll have one. Move out a little bit. And I got to remember to keep these pretty vertical, right, on these lines. So the tendency is to want to do this. You start out like this, and as you start drawing, you swing one way or the other. You start doing this and rotate on your ruler. Instead of moving it straight over, you kind of move it like this, and then you come to the end and it's all wonky looking. Or you do it the other way, like this. I saw some examples on the ceilings with the light fixtures on some of the small hall drawings that they did that. They started going kind of crazy directions on those. See, I'm starting to turn a little bit. There we go. There we go. Oh, I got it. Always check before you draw. Make sure you're lined up. And I know you're saying, wow, that's just a little tedious. Yeah, I know. Detail is sometimes that way. But it looks really cool. Line up my verticals a little bit closer. Because they got to be getting smaller, right? And then as you get close to the vanishing point and the lines get closer together, that makes it even just slightly more difficult. It looks like you're just right on top of each other on those lines. And a little closer together. And you don't have to bring them, the lines, as I put these together, like I said, the lines are coming closer together. Well, we don't have to be fanatical about it and make it so that they're right on top of each other to where you can't see them and they eventually blend into one thing. For the sake of our detail and the stuff we're doing here, this will work just as long as they get more close together. They don't have to be completely, perfectly smashed on top of each other. So when I'm grading the final drawing, I'm going to be looking at it for detail. That's going to be one of the criteria, that there's a detail on the surface. And so that's going to be part of it in creating these drawings. Brickwork, like I said, is one simple way to do that. Brick buildings are kind of cool. Yeah, I know. I'm almost there. And some people are going, Mr. White. I think I'm probably going to be good like that, right? And so that these get close together. But you look at it and say, wow, that's a cool building. I really like that. Me too. On those. Anyway, okay, so That's an example of putting some brick patterns in there. And in our original drawing here, you'll notice that they have little sections. It's kind of fun on this building where they broke it up and they filled in some of these areas to where they had brick in different areas, like filled in windows and stuff like that. These areas were filled in on that. Those might have been like coal chutes or something on that, or some sort of a window on those. Okay, let's see. I think I'm gonna do one more little thingy here. I want yeah, I want to have a little bit of a sticky outy roofy thingy on this one. And so if I see the bottom of the roof sticks out, let's say it sticks out that far, and then when it comes off of this portion here, so this is the eave, this is the underneath side, and then I'm going to have this part right here going to stick up a little bit like that, because I needed something on the top of my building, kind of like that. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of value in here so you can kind of see it a little bit better. So I have my brick building, and then I have this part that sticks out just a little bit further. And so if I put the dark side of it is always the bottom side, right? So I put just a little bit of value in here that might help me to see it a little bit. Here's the deal though. It sticks out a little bit further than the corner of the building. Can you see that? There's the corner right there, and it's down a little bit. So it has to go further out than the building, at least in this one here like that. So now I've drawn a piece of something going on top of that. I deem maybe we do something like this. We want to break up its space a little bit. Something like that. It doesn't need to be the same pattern as the brick, but now I put some surface decoration-y things on that one. Let's say you wanted your building to go up a little higher. I'm going to make my building go up higher. I'm going to start at this corner here. Now I'm going to go up here, and then I'm going to take my vanishing point. Now I extended the building up. Now I could put brick on it, or I could put a different design on that sort of thing, but I wanted to show that you do have control as you start to build your building and your alleyway on that sort of a thing. I think what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to build out a little bit of a section here. Comes out just a wee bit, kind of like on the other side. And then it's going to come up a little bit. Because this side is so long, just little things down over on that side make big movements and things on this side. Then I'm going to make my building just a little taller. So now I've changed the architecture around a little bit. I've added more stuff here and created more areas of interest on that. I can put some windows up here. I can put some more. I probably put something in down here. And when I'm doing this drawing, I'm looking for areas that are big and open. So if I have a big open area here, I'm probably going to put something in there on those. And I may look around. Maybe I'm looking around and I want to put this. That's too complicated for me. I want to put in maybe another one of these little entryways or something like that that's been filled in, you know, or I want to put that brick pattern that's there on those. Let's do a little bit with the sidewalk, because I want to do something on the ground on that one. So let's say that there's a little bit of a sidewalk that comes back here just to break up this space like that. And let's say that then it drops down a little bit because we have to have a curb, right? So this is going to drop down a little bit like that, and then that curb's going to come here. So there's a sidewalk piece kind of there. I'm going to take this. But, now, and she said, Mr. White, but what about, yeah, you're right. We need to make this so it comes down a little bit. What about, this got to be horizontal. Okay. So I'm going to make a little bit of a mark right here, a horizontal mark, just away from the driveway section. I'm going to make another horizontal mark on the other side of my driveway. And then on the front here, I'm going to make it go down like this. Boom. And then I can erase this out of the middle. And this is where it gets a little, because our curb comes down like this, because we need to be able to see our driveway coming like that, right? Then from this corner over here, there's going to be just a little bit of a line on the bottom, like that. A little bit of a line on the top, like that, right? So it comes down like this. This one we don't see as much because it's in dark. Now we have our little entryway into here. And from here, if I wanted my you know how the sidewalks have sections in them, right? These would all be horizontals. Make them horizontal. You gotta make your horizontals horizontal if you're gonna make them horizontal. Okay, and then these ones are gonna be vertical if we have seams in them every so often, right? Look, we made a sidewalk. How cool is that? Now, back over here, you're going to put in some details for some sort of a building or something at the end. Let's say that it comes over here, and these pieces are going to be all probably just mostly verticals and horizontals on that one. So let's say you have a building that's over here across the street. Got to make the thickness of the street here, right? Like that. And then over here there's a little bit of a sidewalk, right? And then there's the front of the sidewalk, like that. I've actually made that on top of my horizon line. Can't do that, sorry. Eye level and all, needs to be lower. It can be right there, and so then I can do this down below it. Okay, now we got it going. Because we know that we see the curves in the sidewalk here. And then we can draw doors. Maybe a big window. A window front. Oh, it's the bell. Oh, we were having so much fun. Ah, don't move on me. I'm going through this pretty fast. That's okay, I won't tell anyone. Let's just do this by hand. And so I'm just putting some little teeny brickies in here. Just so I wanted to show you that there's a building at the end. And so this is our practice. I haven't taken the roll yet. I gotta take the roll. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. See that? So see, now I got a building over here at the end of the hallway, to the end of the alley. Now on this building, if you had things that go back into space, you know, like this, you still use that same vanishing point. This is not with a ruler, but and so that's an example of some of the things that you can see in the in your alleyway. So what am I going to do when I want to grade this? I want to see some of these things. I want to see a brick pattern, okay, in that one, so that I know that you know how to put a brick pattern on there. I want to see that you've done some indentations like this, okay. Maybe some doorways. Obviously, if you have a dumpster, that shows that you've put something into the alleyway that's sticking out from it a little bit. Maybe, like I said, just some of the things that I put in there on this one. But it doesn't need to be any more complete than this, okay? Because this was a practice thing on how do you put some things into the alleyway. Then what I want you to do is I want you to find your own alleyway to use as a reference, as a guide on maybe some more things to put in there. And I want you to make a completed hallway or alleyway drawing on those. That's the master plan. I anticipate that this drawing right here, this will probably take 3 to 4 class periods on that because of the detail that I want in it, in the finished drawing. This one still has some big open spaces in here that I obviously want to fill in. Then I'll probably want to fill in some values on those as well, just to kind of break up the space so we can see it a little bit better on what's going on with our actual items on those. And so that's perspective, creating an alleyway, and practice alley on that. That's what this one is going to be called. I'll take a photo of this so that you can see it and have it as a reference also for your uploads on that. So that'll be a cool thing.